This was, without a doubt, the most impactful professional experience and opportunity that I've had.
But I wanted hard skills and experience that would allow me to speak authoritatively about the things that I wanted to do.
The real wealth of the fellowship is the collegiality and the fellowship that we share during the fellowship and after the fellowship.
A network that's much more than, who knows who, but really about people coming together to work for a common goal.
This fellowship delivers, and if you are ready to receive, you're going to actually be very successful.
I think all the principles of what it wanted to offer resonated with me. Having an opportunity to think a bit more about the systems and policies affecting that population that I love to care for so much.
We used to say the dentists are relegated to the kiddie table, and the doctors make the decisions and then include dentistry as an icing on the cake. And so this was an opportunity, and I was looking for an opportunity to learn more about ways that dentistry could play a more viable role.
I was mid-career at the time I applied to the fellowship, and I'd been aware of the fellowship for quite a while before I actually made the leap to apply. I was working for the Indian Health Service on the Navajo Reservation, and between my background before going into medicine and then the work I was doing on the reservation, it just seemed like the perfect fusion of my interests.
I wanted an MPH that incorporated experiential advice, which you get in this fellowship, and also examples of what people can do when they are well educated and their scope is broad and they feel empowered. And I thought I could get all of that. And then frankly, I needed mentorship. And through Joan and the people to whom she introduces you, you get tons of mentorship.
When I saw it and started to read the bios of the alums that had done the program before me, I thought, I don't think I should apply for this. I don't have anything like what these people have done, and I don't think I'm qualified to go for it. But that was my second year of residency. I had 1 year left, and I just basically said, I'm going to get myself to be someone that they would look at.
This truly did transform who I am as a doctor, as a advocate for poor and underserved, and simply as an operational aspect of the healthcare system. I learned a great deal about policy and those pressure points I talked about and how policy really does impact the system at the front line. I learned, frankly, about the healthcare system at a broader level.
The whole purpose is to really expose you as a physician to the things you're not aware of, that no one else has already given you the opportunity to explore in depth for many of us. And so for me, that was far more attractive than a preventive medicine residency program where I may have been able to get a master's of public health and healthcare management and policy, but it wasn't the same level of immersion into really understanding policy.
I expected that I was going to learn a set of skills that I could take back with me to do some research, to implement some policy changes, but actually what I gained was a lot more than that. It was a sense of empowerment that you can not only provide input to stakeholders, but also implement change. So it was well beyond the bar that I set.
How do you shape policy? How do you explore the world of management and leadership? Skills that aren't really taught, certainly not in medical school, and not necessarily with every MPH degree, unless you're really focusing on management. It also taught a lot of leadership and sort of personal developmental skills.
Sometimes if you want to do something, you've got to get buy-in. But I never really fully understood the concept of stakeholder analyses and really understanding before you do something who all the stakeholders are on both sides or all three sides, depending on what you're looking at. And that was one of the things I found has become so useful in my day-to-day work now, because whenever, even if it's one clinic I'm trying to implement something versus the whole state of Connecticut where I have my responsibilities, I feel that it's always important to go back to that core tool.
The idea of going through and learning about policy was really key to me getting the position that I'm in currently. And actually the research that I did from the fellowship on emergency preparedness at a local county level was what actually got me in the door of the health department that I'm in now.
It's really engaging in the conversations, and how do you build relationships across systems that don't organically meet on a regular basis towards finding a common solution. So it's those things. It's definitely tapping into a core of people who are friends, who are mentors, who are experts in the field, and I can bounce ideas off of. I think that part of it is greater for me in that respect.
In my work with the Federal Bureau of Prisons as their national periodontal consultant, I've been able to not only be the sole dentist in my local institution and manage all the typical clinical responsibilities that go with that kind of a job, but I've been able to also at the broader systemic level serve as the national periodontist for all the 117 federal prisons. This impacts about 217,000+ inmates.
We take econ, we take finance, we take leadership classes, we learn about government, we have conversations about politics that you could apply to Congress, but you could also apply to your local department of whatever that you're in, that help you see why people interact the way that they do. So those are hard skills. And then I think the last one is the skills that come with leadership and networking and communication and team building. And those are much softer, but they are modeled and they are mentored. And I think I use all of them every day.
I was introduced to top movers and shakers in health policy because the contacts in this fellowship are incredible. They reach nationally, internationally. These very top people from around the world are linked to this fellowship, and we have immediate connections to them.
One of the best components of the fellowship for me was the network. The network that was created in terms of many of the faculty members here at Harvard, many of the guest presenters who came in, who Dr. Reed and many of the other faculty members here at Harvard have had long-standing relationships with, who are very committed to cultivating the next group of leaders in health policy.
And having the ability to call on one another for support, for expertise, having this forum yearly where we come back and we're able to see how much each other has grown and able to really begin to use each other as kind of bouncing and soundboards for ideas. I think that's second to none.
The opportunity to meet with people who are leaders in the healthcare system, to go to DC and actually visit the Health and Human Services Department, to go to Atlanta and visit different areas within CDC and put all those pieces together to have a much greater understanding. That plus the camaraderie, the family that we develop as part of this fellowship. I mean, I continue to very regularly lean on the other fellows, both those who preceded me, who were part of my group, and those who've come after.
At the end of the day, I'm highly biased, but I think this is going to be the best investment for 365 days of your life that you can make if you want to be a credible leader in this field and in this space.
This fellowship will change your life in a better way. It makes you see the world in a better way.
You will be exposed to things that could not help but enrich you, and take that at face value and just delve into it and like wallow in it and soak it up. It's an amazingly, I think, decadent and luxurious opportunity to have that can only make you better.
Folks that are looking at that are already doing a self-selective process anyway. So by the mere fact that you're looking at the fellowship, I think you already probably have the very trajectory that this fellowship can then help you to actually achieve.
For sure, consider the fellowship. I would definitely, if you're thinking about applying, if you have this interest either in health policy or trying to make change on a policy level or trying to improve care delivery for very vulnerable groups, I would say it's definitely an opportunity to sort of springboard along that path.
Over the trajectory of your career, you will look back over and over again at where the relationships, the skills, the friendships that you develop during this fellowship really have contributed to helping you make the world a better place.